Welcome to another edition of PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. And in today's video, we're going to be continuing Naruto DxD Heroes Reborn. What if Naruto was in High School DxD, Season 4, Part 2 of the Kyoto arc. As always, if you are new to the channel or if you're a regular and like what we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that has to come out now and in the future. As we continue further into the Kyoto arc, we cover the events of Naruto and friends' trip to Kyoto. What was supposed to be a normal school vacation has turned into anything but, as they now find themselves caught up in a conspiracy and in plots that potentially involve the Hero faction and the Chaos Brigade, as they seek to discover and control even more power, which has led them to kidnapping Princess Yasuka, leader of the Yokai clan. Will Naruto and company be able to help in rescuing the princess? And what further treachery lies ahead as enemies from Naruto's past seek their own retribution? For all this and more, stay tuned as we now continue Naruto DxD Heroes Return. What if Naruto was in High School DxD, Season 4, Part 2. As always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. As Naruto and the others continued their field trip in Kyoto, safe to say everyone was on far more of high alert than they normally were going to be. What was supposed to be a simple trip was now starting to become anything but. The leader of the Yokai faction had been kidnapped by members of the Hero faction who were connected to the Chaos Brigade. Although loosely, there was no telling how deep the involvement could be. For Naruto, he left himself questioning many things. Vali was a rather complicated individual. He was a member of the Chaos Brigade, but the Chaos Brigade were not looking for any sort of pointless war or strife. It was nothing more but a collaboration of many different individuals who all had their own goals and objectives. And banding together was just the easiest way for them to accomplish those objectives. Ultimately, Vali just wanted a good fight from someone that could actually challenge him. And right now, the only people in this world who could really give him that, outside of him wanting to defeat the Great Red Dragon, would be Naruto himself along with his brother Issei. But of course, there were still others in the Chaos Brigade who had their own sinister motives and other means. While some of them were much more tame compared to others, ultimately this collection of individuals and beings doing what they were doing was still not good for everyone else involved. For Naruto, he couldn't fully understand Vali. If he wanted to fight with him, fine, that was one thing, but kidnapping the leader of the Yokai faction, was that really necessary? Or was it someone else's plans? Naruto had much to debate about, but for now, the only thing they could do was try to enjoy themselves at least. They continued sightseeing and going to many other historical landmarks in Kyoto, and for the most part, Naruto's mind was at ease. That was until, while visiting one of the monuments, attendants of the Yokai faction would appear. They had come specifically for those who were actually involved in such matters. As for students who were just regular and ordinary humans and weren't connected to these type of things, they were left out of the equation. Naruto, finding himself traveling, along with the likes of Issei, Kiba, Zenobia, Irina, Asuya, Kiryu, arriving to the Yokai compound, where the daughter of the princess, Kuno, would be waiting for them, along with Seraphal Leviathan, as well as the Governor General himself and school chaperone Azazel. They had all waited for their arrival, Kuno especially. Even though she had just met Naruto, it almost felt like it was akin to her meeting family in a way. Kuno could sense the power of the Nine Tails inside of him, and in some weird roundabout way, it was familiar. Technically speaking, Kurama would be qualified as a yokai spirit, although Kurama would think that he was much more than just a mere spirit or god. In terms, he was just an amalgamation of chakra given consciousness. But when you really stopped and thought about it, wasn't that what everything was in the end of the day? After all, the line between chakra and magic, you could say, was a silver line at least. You can honestly say that the two systems were two sides of the same coin, just different routes that ultimately led to the same result. Kuno would welcome them all graciously as they made their way inside the banquet hall, Issei walking beside his brother and finding a few of the foxy attendants to be very pleasing to the eyes. "Issei," Naruto would ask, "just what are you thinking about?" "Oh, not much. I'm just saying, I've never seen an angel yokai before. Can you try to take things a bit more seriously?" "What? I can't help it. I mean, just look at them. Those cute ears, those fluffy tails, those voluptuous..." "Okay, I get it." As Naruto tried to silence his brother, even he couldn't deny the beauty of the yokai women here. If they were related by any chance, it was safe to see where he got his good looks from in that regard. He wondered if his mother would have passed off as a yokai. She was definitely beautiful enough to be one, although while they all shared in having blonde-like hair, his mother would have been the fiery opposite. As they arrived inside, Kuno would thank them all for arriving once again, before explaining in detail the full situation of what had happened. It had been about a week ago when Yasuka and her attendants were going to go to a specific meeting. It was to form an alliance with the other deity nations who were joining together to fight against the Chaos Brigade. However, an attack occurred during the meeting, and as such, Yasuka had disappeared and hadn't been seen since. One of the attendants would pull out a scroll to give a better picture of what she looked like. Safe to say, she was a woman of great beauty, and Issei was already smitten. However, Issei wouldn't be the only one who was captured by her charm. Naruto could feel his chakra beginning to stir inside of him greatly, almost as if it were all starting to bubble up to the surface, although Naruto could tell that it wasn't him. "What the..." Kurama couldn't believe it, as he was able to see through Naruto's own consciousness. This woman. And on top of that, there was also a picture of her nine-tailed state form. All of this was so sudden that Naruto had to go inside to check on things. Kurama? Are you alright?" "Naruto, we must help them immediately." "Well, yeah, of course. We want to help them if we can." "I'm serious. We have to get her back." "Okay. Hey, I know it's probably just me. You're usually like some type of orangey red furball, but why does your face look so much redder than before? And why do you look like you're sweating so much? And your paws, why do they look like they're shaking so..." Naruto would smile happily as he looked at the fox behind the cage. "Hold on, it's not what you think. Naruto, it is not what you think. Naruto, I am telling you the truth. You better listen to me." "You have a crush on Yasuka, don't you?" "Shut up! I am the Nine Tails. I am far above those petty notions of emotions. I see a fellow Nine Tails in need, so of course I want to help them. It's nothing more, nothing less." "Right. Kurama's got a crush." "Shut the hell up. I just want to do everything in my power to protect these people. They are all very important. They remind me of those of whom I want to protect. I mean, yeah, sure. You all are foxes after all. And I mean, just look at Yakuza. She's a real fox. Kurama would bury his head in his palms, trying his best to avoid the embarrassment. Dreg couldn't help but laugh. So, it seems our fox friend does have a soft side for women. I know, right? He tries to play it off, but really, he's just a lover fox, like anybody else. Kurama was having enough of this. Enough of this embarrassment. Enough of these offhanded remarks. Safe to say, though, in all seriousness, Naruto and the others agreed to help. They would do everything in their power to help find Yasuka and to help bring her home. In the meantime, the only thing they could do now was wait for something to happen. Naruto thought about sending out some shadow clones to go on patrol and see what they could find, although he decided to hold off for now, since even if he wanted to look, he'd have no idea where he'd even need to start. And in the meantime, Naruto had his hands full with something else. You see, he and Rosvisa actually hit it off pretty well, and as such, the Valkyrie found herself spending a lot more time with the young shinobi. Of course, Naruto had to try to keep things professional, even if there were laxed rules. To everyone else, they were still teacher and student, and there was no point in trying to get caught up in a scandal. Although, once the nighttime had come around, Naruto decided to make her stay a little more adventurous, the two going out and seeing some of the sights. You could say it was kind of a date of sorts. Rosvisa couldn't believe it. She had bought a sundress and everything, although she never thought she'd get to use it. She felt so happy to actually have someone paying attention to her, taking her needs into consideration. Was this what it felt like to be in love? She had no idea. Of course, there were the other girls. They might be pretty jealous, but she was fine. She didn't have to be first, just as long as anyone was going to choose her. And thank God someone did. I mean, at this point, she had been going on and on about it for centuries. As Naruto and Rosvisa had arrived back to the hotel, they found themselves staggering into Naruto's room. Of course, Naruto would quickly be ambushed by the likes of Zenobia and Asuya, who had been waiting up for him because they weren't going to be going to sleep without seeing him. And with Rosvisa there, safe to say, things got a bit awkward. For Asuya and for Zenobia, they now realized that there was yet more competition. But they weren't going to be losing to someone else. Besides, they had youth on their side. Safe to say, things got touchy, grabby, a bit feely. Some articles of clothing got lost, for the females, especially above the waist. A lot of opai were moving about in the room, and for Naruto, he was just trying his best to keep these shinobi prohibitions adhered to. That was until they heard something going on in the closet. A light that kept flickering on and off. Well, compared to the wall that sometimes oozed green slime, and that weird fog that was rolling around every morning around 2 a.m. with a bus that just seemed to show up opposite side of the hotel, with some odd-looking guy in the fog that just walked across the street without looking both ways, as if he was already dead, this was definitely something to investigate. Naruto opening the closet door as he saw none other than his brother. And, well, he had his hands full. You see, if you squeeze on him, the light flickers on and off, that halo above their heads. Issei, Kiryu, and Irina. What they were doing in that closet, I can't describe, well, because of, legal issues, as well as not wanting to be demonetized, and I try to keep this a friendly family channel, so I'll let you use your active imaginations. The only thing I will say is how on earth these three qualify as angels, I will never know. Safe to say, the events of the Great Closet Incident are left to the imagination, and they are events that we will never talk about. The next day would arrive, another day of sightseeing and gallivanting all through Kyoto. For the most part, everyone was in high spirits, although Naruto warned for everyone to keep their guard up. Just in case, he gave those closest to him each a flying Raijin kunai, telling them to hold on to it, and in case anything happened, to contact him immediately, and he'd show up in a flash. But for the most part, the sightseeing was rather enjoyable, especially as Kuno had chosen to take it upon herself to be a tour guide, to show them the best places in Kyoto to go and visit. Among all of the talking and the walking and sightseeing, Kuno would walk close to Naruto, the two eventually having a one-on-one conversation. Naruto? Yeah, that's me. You're not a yokai like us, but I sense it. I know. I actually have what you would call a yokai seal inside of me. What? You have a yokai inside of you? But how is that even possible? Well, it's a bit complicated, but he's been with me ever since I was born. Oh, I see. What's the name of your yokai? His name's Kurama. You'd like to talk to him? Naruto held out his hand to Kuno. Kuno taking it, as Naruto and she would both focus and concentrate, even while they were walking. Kuno was able to sync her aura with Naruto, allowing for her to just vaguely enter into his consciousness. She found herself walking down the hall of a dark corridor with Naruto, before they eventually arrived to a well-lit cage, where a giant furry creature was lying asleep. Kuno could see the 9 tails and could recognize it as a yokai, although she had never seen one of that color before. Typically they were a golden blondish sort of yellow, not a fiery orangey red. Is that him? Mm-hmm. Hey, Kurama, wake up and say hello. What have I told you about disturbing me while I sleep? I just wanted to introduce you to a friend here. Her name's Kuno. She's, like you. Of course she is. I can sense her aura. She and I are one and the same. Nice to meet you, Kuno would say. Likewise, young one. I can sense the strong aura that exists inside of you. Do not worry. We will find your mother. I promise. I'm sure you do. Shut it, Naruto. What does he mean? He's just really fond of your mother, Kuno. You see, it gives him the real motivation to wake up from that sleepy slump he's always in. And with his help, we're gonna find your mother. I promise. Really? Thank you. And thank you, Kurama, sir? Just Kurama is fine, young one. Now, please leave me. I want to rest. They would leave from the mental plane of existence, awakening back in the real world as they continued their walk together. There were many other sights and things to see in Kyoto, as well as the food to try. Naruto getting a chance to try a new type of ramen with fried tofu. It was absolutely delicious, and Kuno would explain that her mother made the best fried tofu. That little comment caught Kurama's attention. If there was one reason for him to get out of this body, now he had even more motivation. As the students continued on in their sightseeing and in their touring, they would come across a local bar where Azazel was enjoying an afternoon drink along with Rosvisa. Although safe to say that unlike the two of them, Rosvisa was not one who could hold her liquor well. And Naruto would have to take a mental note of that. The last thing he needed was the both of them potentially getting drunk, and who knows what else was going to follow after that. Before long, the touring group would find themselves passing the Tagetsuo Bridge, a famed bridge in Kyoto. It was said that if you walked across the bridge and you looked back before completing the journey, then you would lose your true love forever. Safe to say, Zenovia and Asya both grabbed onto Naruto's arms extremely tight, not wanting to fall for such a ploy, and Irina was holding Issei for dear life, and Issei would look to Kiryu, who just had to bring up a rumor like that. All in all, the trip was going rather well. That was until time itself all seemed to stand still, and the world entered into a color of pure purgatory, as a deep fog began to roll in. Only Naruto, Kuno, Issei, Zenovia, Irina, Asya, and Kiryu were the ones that went unaffected, Kiba and Azazel joining them outside not too long after. "We're caught in a space known as Dimension Lost," Kiba would say. "I feared the worst, but not something like this," Azazel would add in. "It's the power of a Longinus." "Oh no." Kuno would start to shake in fear. This is what was said to have happened right before my mother was taken." "Don't worry, Kuno," Naruto would say. "It's gonna be alright." As they stood on the bridge, the water underneath would start to stir and shake. Naruto would immediately move Kuno to safety, as a high torrent of water began to fly into the air, before it took the form of a dragon. Water style, Water Dragon Jutsu. Wind style, Gale Palm Jutsu. The Gale Palm and the Water Dragon would collide in midair, as the water began to dissipate and fall all around them. "What the? Kurama?" "Yes, I could sense it. That ability had chakra. It was the water style, Water Dragon Jutsu. And not just that," Dreg would say. "It was amplified by magic." "What? But who else could use ninjutsu like that?" "Hey bro, what's going on?" Issei ran beside Naruto. "Issei, get ready. We have company." On the other side of the bridge, the fog began to dissipate some, as a group began to walk towards them. Leading the way was a boy, around the same height and looking to be the same age as Naruto and Issei, as he carried a spear on his back, coiled by two golden snakes. "Man, you are good, aren't you, Red Dragon Emperor? I just learned that little fancy technique. Didn't think I could get the hang of it so fast, but I should have expected you to be able to counter it. After all, this ninjutsu stuff is your forte." Naruto activated the boosted gear, and Issei summoned Ascalon, as the two stood ready to battle. "Who the hell are you?" "I didn't introduce myself. How rude of me. I do apologize. My name is Soso, leader of the hero faction. You, Naruto Uzumaki, in Issei Kyoto, the Gold and Red Dragon Emperor, the heroes of both heaven and hell. If you would please do me the honor, I'd like to go a few rounds with you. Because personally, from what I can see, people call you legends around here, but I am definitely not impressed. This concludes Naruto DxD, Heroes Return. What if Naruto was on HighSchool DxD? Season 4, Part 2 of the Kyoto arc. As always, if you enjoyed today's video and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that has to come out now and in the future. Tune in next week as we'll have a new slate of videos and stories ready for your enjoyment, and for everything else that's to come out now and in the future here at PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington, signing off, and I'll see you next time.